I've experienced sleep paralysis throughout my life. I usually hear voices, sometimes incomprehensible, but always creepy and threatening. It's always been a woman's voice. As a child, I was convinced a witch lived in my room as a result. I get the feeling someone is in the room, but I can't see them, and I can't move. I once had the sensation of someone getting into bed beside me and pushing against me, which was terrifying. I often get a strange tingling feeling throughout my body and a ringing in my ears, which feels awful. I always put these episodes down to nightmares until a couple of years ago, when I read about sleep paralysis and realized that's what was happening. I once had a woman in black experience after watching the film, where I woke with a heavy weight on my chest and in the corner of my eye, thought I could see someone at the end of my bed. The figure had a large hat and a black veil hanging down over its face. It started to stomp its feet and scream at me, as if to get me to look at it, I'm assuming, so that I would die like in the film. I couldn't move. I was laid on my back with my head to the side, and I remember trying to move to pick up a glass to throw at the figure, but my arms wouldn't work. When I came around, I burst into tears, one of the most terrifying experiences I've had, and I still, to this day, can't sleep on my back. That was 3 years ago. I was living at home with my mom. I was unwell, so I was in bed all day. My mom was home with me. I must have fallen asleep, as I never heard her open my bedroom door or walk across the room. But I felt her weight sit on the bed beside me. I heard her pick up my cup of water, as if checking if it needed refilling, and felt her brush the hair from my face. Then, all of a sudden, I was being choked. I felt hands around my neck. I couldn't open my eyes, as if they were glued shut, and I tried to raise my arms to break free, but it was as if they'd been nailed to the mattress. I struggled to breathe and felt myself getting lightheaded. Then all of a sudden it went, and I could open my eyes and move again. My mom was nowhere to be seen. She was upstairs at the neighbor's house.
My worst experience with sleep paralysis was after I'd been up all night doing an essay. When I finished, I immediately dozed off. The next thing I knew, I thought I had completely woken up, except there was a shadow demon looming over the end of my bed. It didn't have a face, but I could feel it staring at me, and it felt like pure evil. I tried with my whole body to scream, but nothing came out, which only made me panic more. I felt like the demon was about to attack me. Then his head twitched to the side, and he pounced on my chest, sort of thrashing at me. I felt like it was suffocating me. I tried to close my eyes again and put all my energy into trying to wake up and move my body, the whole time with the demon hallucination still attacking me. When I was finally fully awake, I lay in bed for about half an hour, shaking and next to tears. It was probably the scariest thing I've ever experienced. I thought it was just a really vivid nightmare until a few months later, when I first read about sleep paralysis online. I'd woken up in my dorm room. It was a stormy night, around 4 in the morning, and still quite dark, though there was yellowish-orange light from a street lamp outside. The window at the foot of my bed had been left cracked open and was banging in the wind. I got up to shut it and stumbled back to bed, lying on my right side facing the wall, with my eyes closed. It began with tactile hallucinations. I felt as if a pair of slightly clammy hands with thick fingers were gently stroking my face, in particular my lips, eyes, and ears, and prodding at my mouth. Eventually, this feeling gave way to prickling pins and needles all over my body, and I felt very cold and buzzing, as if I were electrified or covered in static shocks. At the same time, a heavy ringing began in my ears, very loud, and in an even tone. It was at this point I got the sensation that there was someone else in the room, very close to me. I was able to open my eyes, and I felt this weight pressing down on the left side of my ribs and shoulder. The light from the street was blocked by shadow, and I realized the shadow had a solid form, a squat creature with cat-like features and claws, though humanoid and compact. It was about 3 or 4 feet tall, sitting on top of me. It had pointed ears and pale yellow eyes. With no pupils, I couldn't distinguish its face beyond the outline and its glowing eyes. I knew it was a demonic force of some sort, and I tried to scream. I felt the air leaving my throat, but only heard a faint whimper. I don't know how long this lasted, but eventually the apparition was gone, and I was able to move. I got up and turned on my bedside light and sat up until dawn,